Hey guys, welcome back or welcome to the rabbit hole. Thanks for coming and visiting me. Today my video is going to be a little different. I'm not following my usual formula of like Pokemon or lo-fi backgrounds or none of the nonsense. To be honest, it's kind of a revenge petty video. I got some comments over on Instagram and TikTok from I think I have a hater. Like it's crazy. It's my first like real hater. Anyway, I have someone trolling me, telling me that I'm using AI and other nonsense like that. And like, come on, like my art's not even good enough to be considered AI. But this video is just pretty much to flex a little bit and show that I don't draw just Pokemon. So without further ado, let's get into it. I went back to my roots a little bit. If you didn't know, I am a bisexual 36-year-old or 35-year-old man. Well, I say bisexual. I like women, but I predominantly date men. Anyway, that's irrelevant. Getting back to the topic at hand, I went back to my roots and I was like, you know what? I'll show people that it's not AI. I'm going to draw a big, sexy man. When I draw people and I use a reference photo, I usually tend to block out my shapes completely. Like I'll make a circle for the head and like a triangle for the upper torso and some squareage for like the abs and stomach and stuff. And I'll work out a shape like that when I'm working for reference, just to kind of give myself some anchor points to work off of. When I'm working just out of my head, like I did with this video, I don't do that all the time, unless I'm trying to build like a crazy pose, like, you know, like the person's coming at the camera or they're squatting or like swinging or doing something, you know, high energy. Then I do block out my shapes. But I'm 35. I've spent 35 years watching people stand. So if it's just a basic standing pose, I'm pretty confident when it comes out of my head. And I did study anatomy as well. So I'm pretty good about knowing how certain parts of the body twist, or like, it's going to sound weird, but if you take your skin off, like the fact that we all just look like cords, like we're just cords wrapped around a skeleton. So I tend to be pretty good at like mapping out like muscular structure. And so for this one, I just really wanted to kind of, honestly, for lack of a better word, flex a little and show my anatomy skills and my sketching. I didn't have a plan. I was just gonna draw, you know, a buff dude. But then as like with all of my YouTube videos from the past, it got me thinking, oh no, this one will get flagged again, because my channel used to look like this. You won't find any of these videos on it anymore, because every time I would post one, I would get flagged for community violations, you know, which is kind of ridiculous, you know. If I was just videotaping myself in my underwear jumping on a trampoline, like YouTube would allow that, but you know, I can't draw nobody in their underwear because, oh no. Anyway, yeah, I'm feeling petty and pissy today. That comment really got under my skin. Like, come on, AI, like AI, my guy, like what the fuck? Like, and for anybody out there who go and accuse other artists of using AI, like actually look at the piece. Are there the correct number of fingers? Like, is there a weird foot growing out of a tree somewhere? Like, if so, then yeah, it's probably AI. But if not, there's a good chance that this person is just, you know, talented. I'm not that talented, so I don't know why the hell they were like, I don't know why they were doing that to me. Like, don't get me wrong. I feel like if I dedicated a lot of time, you know, and effort into a piece, then yeah, I could do that as well. But I don't usually have that kind of motivation to stay on one piece for more than like 10 hours. But that's a personal issue. It's because I'm lazy. Unless it's a commission. Like if I'm being paid, like I guess it's a motivation problem. It's not lazy. Because if it's a commission, then I have no problem dedicating like freaking like 100 hours to it, because I want it to be perfect, because like the client's gonna see it and they're gonna share it and they're gonna like tell people and my name's gonna be attached to it, and like it becomes a whole anxiety spiral. But if you're not paying me to do it and I'm just doing it for fun, as soon as it stops being fun for me, I don't want to do it anymore. So this one is a mixture of both. This drawing was fueled by hate fire and rage. And it wasn't until I got to like the rendering portion, like actually coloring everything, that like my gas kind of ran out, if that makes sense. But anyway, back to the drawing. Whenever I do inking, specifically on people, but mostly for anything, I like to start with a smaller inking pen or like a smaller brush, just because you can always go back and add thickness later. Mind you, you can erase, yes, but when you erase from like say your final like line work, when you erase something from that, you can almost always see the break in the flow, like where it's like a brush stroke, you know, like whenever you pick up your brush too abruptly, you can see the brush stroke stop. Same thing goes with your pencil or with your inking pen. If you erase certain lines, it literally breaks the flow of that line and it changes the feeling of that section of the drawing. So I like to add line thickness later, because you can add line thickness to a section and it kind of enhance it. But in my experience, when I take away from a line's thickness or I take away lines, it changes it too much. Right here, you could see that I was getting a little frustrated with the plain background, so I just kind of sketched in some barrels and like a little archway there. In my head, I couldn't just have like a basically half-naked man standing here. I mean, I guess I could, and I did, but I wanted a purpose behind it. So he's hiding the rum. Why is the rum gone? The rum's gone because there is no rum. Yeah, I don't know. I was not thinking clearly. I was I was not in my right frame of mind for this one. I was just angry. Anyway, when it came to doing the shading, I stuck with like a cell shading style. I am a pencil artist and I tend to use digital color pencil a lot more than anything else. But it doesn't look as refined and polished to me, or maybe that's just because like I've spent so long looking at it that maybe I'm sick of it. I don't know. But I always lately have been doing a lot of cell shading as like my base layer. And whenever I do, whenever I like make a color for shading, some people will say like if you have like a basic yellow color, they'll just like eyedropper that yellow and they'll just move their hue or they'll move their like saturation down a little bit, you know, just to get a darker shade, and that's fine. But I feel like you end up with a lot of washed out colors like that. So me, like say if I'm using a yellow and I want to shade, I'll move my slider, my hue slider over. I'll pick a different hue slightly. So like I'll go to more of like an orangish yellow and then bring my saturation down. That way, like there's more contrast in between my lights and my highlights and my shadows, and it doesn't seem as washed out. I mean, that's not true for every color, obviously, but it is very true for like skin tones. Your skin. You want your skin tones to feel warm. I mean, I guess not if you're, you know, not if you're drawing like a necromancer or like a drow or something. But like, my point is like, I always want my people to look like they're warm and not like they're, you know, a cold flat thing. So for me, that tends to be more contrasting colors, because like something like skin, you know, has a lot of different colors in it. There's whites, blues. There's a lot of green actually in your skin that most people don't even realize. There's a lot of green in your skin due to like the blood flow underneath and like just tissues and things like that. So I didn't go all out here on this one. I didn't do that here. In fact, actually, in case you're having a hard time following what's happening on the screen right now, I'm doing the hair. Whenever I do hair, I usually like to have at least four different colors. I have a base layer color. I have a darker version that I use for shadowing, and then I have two highlighting colors. One to give like a general area of highlight, and then one to do like a more defined, like fine-tuned highlight. And so whenever I do hair, I usually start with my darkest color and like a fat brush just to like knock out some like general shading. And then as I go up in color, like as I go from darker to lighter color, my brush will get smaller, because it sounds weird. I don't know. It's hard to describe. Hair, when it reflects light, it's this like there's only the smallest strands really like show like the brightest highlights, if that makes sense. Like I'm really bad with words sometimes. But just trust me. just trust me. Whenever you're highlighting your hair, if you're using a darker, like go from dark to light, and go from a large brush to a small brush, and it makes a difference. all the flashing that happened on screen there was me trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to do with the background. I didn't like the barrels. They frustrated me, and then I put in like a pre-made sky background. I didn't like that either. So in the end, I just decided to leave him on a blank canvas, just not to draw any attention away from him. And then my final step there was to add some quick highlights around like the edges of his body, like his abs and his like just literally the edges of his body, like places I wanted there to like show some roundness. And then I used a Gaussian blur on that and a quick outline, and here was our final piece. I pretty much gave up honestly after I did my base layer of shading. It came time to do all the texturing of the skin and adding like veins and like color and make it look like he was living, and I was just honestly, my rage was gone. Like I felt like this was good enough to show that I don't use AI. Like come on, like I know I'm not like a bad artist, but I'm not fantastic, like I'm not amazing. Not enough for that comment to have irked me as much as it did. I don't know why it irked me as much as it did, but it did. So this is my response to that. Yeah. So I guess if you're having a hard time finding motivation, you know, you could always use petty hate as motivation to fuel your art. I wouldn't suggest it, but this was the product of mine. Well, in the end, I hope this doesn't get taken down like all my other videos. In the past, every time I would draw people, YouTube apparently didn't like the process or something. I'm not sure why I was getting flagged, but it always told me I was violating community standards or community guidelines. So hopefully this one gets to stay up. Let me know if you guys want to see more of like my art. Like this is what I would consider my art. Just more, more stuff like this. Or if you want me to stick with like the Pokemon and like the random cutesy stuff. Like I can do that, but I don't know. I enjoy doing that too. Don't get me wrong, but like sometimes you just gotta draw a hunky dude, you know. But yeah, let me know in the comments. I also have my gaming playthrough I'm doing. I don't do anything crazy. Like I'm not playing Call of Duty or nothing like that. But I do have a Chef RPG playthrough I've started, and I actually have a Stardew Valley video that I'm working on. I don't have the video up yet, but I also have a Stardew Valley one coming. So. Just let me know in the comment if you guys like this, if you want more like this or anything like that. But I guess that's all for now. Thanks for stopping by the rabbit hole, and I'll see you next time. Bye!